Well, hello, welcome to Drawing with Fire. I'm Valarie, neighborhood pyrography artist. I'm joined with hubby.
Hubcap.
And today we're doing pine needles. Now, the reason we're doing pine needles is because most of the time they're in the background, so you don't see a whole lot of them as individuals. But in our bear, we've got, and I clipped so that it was easier to see. We have individual, because they're in the foreground with the bear. In fact, right here, the bear is kind of pushed behind it, and so he starts. But they're right here, either next to the bear or in front, which means they're going to be in more detail. Now, this one over here is blurry. I can decide to do it blurry or make it nice and clean. That's totally up to me. Sometimes when something's really close, that would be blurry in order to have your main subject of the piece to be in focus and everything is drawing to them. So if you look where green looks like green and you think it's going to have a lot of color or a lot of tone to it, but once you look at it here, this stick is white. We got a bunch of white pine needles or very light pine needles. There's really not a whole lot of darks in here. It's our background that pops them forward and makes them stand out, as well as the bear fur. So we're going to get started on that. I just have next to this side to the burning, I just tried to focus in on the pine needles because that's all we're going to be working with. And I am going to readjust this. Hey Kathy, Sheila, Andrea. So let's zoom us in. We're going to focus on, I think, ooh, now the camera's on my face, kind of. Some of these pine needles right here where I just drew lines because I don't think they needed to have everything mapped out for me. But if you need more, then totally go for it. I think I'm going to go with the extra small. I'm going to start off at 2. There we go. Remember, this is on birch, so it requires a slightly higher heat for the same tone of burn if you're burning on basswood and poplar. It's just a little bit harder, so it requires more heat. Let's see here. Just waiting for that to heat up just a second. So, let's see, how much do I have on the screen? There we go. See, right now for you guys is just a bunch of lines. We have a dark area right here behind. It's I'm trying to think of the old habitat for them. It was, I don't think it was a cave. It was just more indented, so I didn't get any kind of light compared to what we've got in the foreground. Then we got the ground right here, and it's almost like I drew a tree for my lines, but that's not a tree. Odd. There is a tree back here.
Kathy's just saying hi to us.
Yeah. There's a tree back here and over here, but I'm not seeing on my reference. Yeah, I don't see a tree. That's odd, but I drew a tree. Maybe I added the tree onto the pattern. That could be what it is. I added the tree. To give it more balance. So that was an artistic choice on the piece. See, that's what happens when you haven't looked at your pattern in so long.
I was going to say that is one of the things that you have to deal with.
Totally forgot.
What was I doing?
Don't remember. So we'll just let it be. So that means I may have changed some of the pine needles.
I'm going to go get my coffee and then I'm going to cough. Not in their headphones.
Okay. Because there should be a stick right here, but I'm not seeing that. I could... Well, you know what? I'm just going to do whatever I feel like doing. That is the end of a stick right here. So I'm going to very quickly tap that in. You know what? Let me zoom in for you guys. Whee! I don't have my normal gray board because it's thicker. I have a thinner board behind my board. There we go. So right now At the end where pine needles come together on the actual branch, we do see the end of the stick. And then, so let's get that in real quick so we don't lose it. And then I'm just going to pretend the bottom of the stick, which is shaded, I'm actually going to bump up to 3. Just using the top half. I'm going to drag it in. But because we have some pine needles overlapping it, I'm also going to make sure I leave a gap. And see, only you guys are going to know because I told you guys. And this is what happens when you don't look at a piece and its pattern. You forget what you were thinking. So I'll put some darks around here. Just using the tip, dragging very quickly. It looks like we're going to pretend this is the stick right here. It's really light, but I want something there. And see, if I didn't tell you, you wouldn't know. I got lost in my pattern. Which, to be honest, is totally normal. Hello, Haig. Ah. Bye, Haig. Sorry about that, guys. So it should go away. Alrighty. So I'm just putting some texture, so just dragging down. And it will lighten up as I put other things around. So the pine needles underneath are going to be darker. That could have been the stick line right there. And so I'll just darken it up. So this part will go even darker, so it looks like the stick is curling away from us, which it is. I think I just didn't connect the lines. That's my problem. Didn't connect the lines. So we'll just make it a little thicker because we are close up, so it's okay to make it thicker. Alright, so on our darker ones, we're just going to go flat and drag. And what this does is push them more in the back. The light ones will stand forward. And remember, I got to leave a gap, almost like whiskers in a way. I could go back and use a Dremel to drag it out, but I don't want to. I don't like the aftermath of how that looks. Now some light ones curve under and go darker. So I'll put those in. Here, I think you need this.
I do?
Yeah, I already hid that one guy that...
I hid another one.
Oh, another one?
I'm doing it on my tablet.
Another one.
Yeah, you're moving up in the world.
I am.
Get 2 trolls.
2 of them. Oh, it's not like they last very long. So watching the thickness and the direction. That's my biggest thing. And I can always go back and darken these. Remember, I put the tree behind it. But what I can do is decide if I even want the tree or if that's too much. That may be too much. What do you think? I've got a tree here, and a tree in the back.
Rule of 3.
Rule of 3. I can make it. I'll have to make it more blurry because it's going to be further back than the pine needles. The pine needles are going to be more detailed, so I need to make that more blurry. And the reason I'm looking at it is I kind of need to put it in. It's going to need to be blurry and probably darker. I'm looking at my reference for the other trees. See the other tree? I've got a tree here instead of the rock. But if you look at this tree that's actually in the photo, it's really blurry, and that's because it's further behind and the limbs come in. So we need to have that tree blurry in the background in order to get the proper perspective of the needles. Because the needles are in the foreground. See here, that's off. So I'll stick down here. You're gonna be bright, ain't you?
She was fine for a little bit. It's windy though.
Yeah. Now if I use the edge, that's okay. The tip, if it gets a little sharp, totally okay. The biggest thing with pine needles is making sure you can get the tonal value right, more so than anything else. Because all these darker ones are in the back. So, let's get them back there. Trying to stay on camera, and then I go off camera.
I'm watching. Oh.
I kept moving down.
I'm watching you in 30, like 10 seconds in the past, though. So
Yeah.
I guess I need to watch you in the present.
Let's see here. The way I'm going to quickly put the blurriness of the tree in the background. And to do that, I'm going to bump up to 4.5. Take a drink for a second while that heats up.
What you drinking today?
Coffee.
Is it special?
It's just a coffee.
I haven't got special in a while.
I haven't had my cocoa.
I'll have to do that next payday. Because we're running out.
Oh.
Because we only cook with it. Well, I cook with it, and you have it special cocoa. So it lasts a long time.
Alright, so what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to look at the other tree and pay attention to the other tree. Because that is going to be the same way I am doing this tree. I'm going to touch down in someplace dark. This keeps getting behind the board. There we go. And I'm going to start. Again, I keep looking at the wrong part of my reference. And I'm just going to do ovals. It's going to give me the texture. Easier to go around the lighter pine needles. Could go with a smaller or larger pen too if I wanted to. But I do tend to stick with just a couple of pens in general. So you notice I'm not going right up to the graphite, and that's so it gives me the thickness of these lighter. I can always go back and readjust. We can see how it's giving me the thickness. Because of how this pen's running, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the 18 small, and it's just because I wanted a little smoother. Because it's blurry, we don't need as much texture. Remember, each tip works with the grain differently. Touch in a dark spot. Put some heat out. Now I'm in the top half of the tip. And we can see it's a little smoother than what we had. We don't need all that texture of a tree. Not this time. We can start seeing how the pine needles are going to stand out.
Oh, I see.
Right now the graphite's still in the way, but we can start seeing. I can go even higher because move this over here. Smooth it out a little bit, darken it up. It's further back. And I can definitely see how pine needles like this could be overwhelming.
Sorry.
Oh, bless
Sorry,
you.
that was said. Apologies for anybody with headphones. My bad. Sorry. Very, very sorry. I'm really very sorry.
I'm sure they appreciate your apology. Alright, so let's go ahead and just erase out that graphite part right there where we've already burned, just so we can see. And see how we've already got the pine needles in? They're already there, and we didn't even have to do anything. Now I'm trying to think what I did.
Debatable. Thank you, Kathy.
What's that?
She said, was he?
But now we can go back in more towards the tip, darken and reshape them a little bit. Now that we can see them. Now I don't know what my plan was for that background right there. I don't remember.
Okay.
I didn't remember I put the tree in. To be honest, I could change it again if I wanted to. But I think, in this case, maybe I made a good choice originally. So I'll just go with what I had already planned. Need to thin them more out at the end. Pine needles start off thick and get thinner. At least our pine needles do. They dry up faster at the end. So the reason I'm talking to myself really about the background right here is I kind of want to put it in so we can get these needles.
I thought you were talking to me.
Or you.
You weren't talking to me? You just...
Whoever has input, I'm
Okay,
talking to them.
here?
Oh, you'll live.
No.
That's not what I meant.
Whatever.
But I was also talking to myself
I know.
and trying to figure out what I want to do with this, because I have a lot of texture over here. I have a lot of texture here. I really need to keep the texture down in the background in order for it to work. I think because if I have too much, it's just gonna, it'll be too much for the eye. There won't be a place for the eyes to settle because there's just so much going on. So I'm going to switch over to the 18 large.
How is Morgan's fur all over the keyboard?
It attaches to me and then releases here.
That's amazing.
Isn't it? But she has been in here.
Well, I know. But she's worse than Zena.
I
Zena
know.
was... She had, like, white, floofy hair.
I know.
But Morgan seems to get
She's like a
places.
She's like a porcupine. Alright, so right here, I've lowered down to 4. And just looking at my background on the original photo, I'm going to go vertically. It's not necessarily that I'm putting in the horizontal background line. I had to bump it up to smooth it out. Trying to decide if I want to switch pens again, because this one, the grain in it don't seem to get along, and I don't know why. Some pens, and regardless of the burner, some pens and grain don't necessarily see eye to eye. I'm going to slow down so I can darken a little bit more. Again, I just want it blurry. I don't want to take the torch to it because I think it'll be too much and I don't want that color. Go into the fur. Trying to keep it horizontal, just so the stroke makes sense in the background. Okay. See, I wonder if the spoon shader would actually do better right now. Should I try the 18M? I haven't used that in a long time. It's actually been a long time since I've used it.
What's different?
Man.
Well, I know the spoon shader has a rounder point.
Oh,
it doesn't have a point, right?
It doesn't have a point. Where is everybody?
I don't know.
Oh, it's the day after Super Bowl. 2 days after the Super Bowl.
Is people still recovering?
I don't know.
You know, it's funny. Growing up, I supported the Rams, like in grade school.
Well, they finally won.
And they finally won after all these years.
Not that I care.
But in the past, when the Rams have been in the Super Bowl, I've watched it.
You didn't watch it yesterday.
Nope. That's what I'm saying. It's just that they won.
And you didn't. Oh,
and I didn't watch.
So you're the reason.
I'm the reason why they weren't winning. Sorry, Rams. But also, you're welcome.
I did watch the halftime show. I do watch those, yeah.
Was it any good?
It was old school.
Huh.
I think it reflected LA music scene really good. It was hip hop. It is not my, in general, type of music, but I think they did a wonderful job. And it was fun to watch.
Okay. I'll have to check it out at some point.
Yeah. Alright. Yeah, it feels weird using this pen. I haven't used it in a long time. But see, also by putting this in, it's going to show me how dark or light the fur needs to go. Everything works together. And it's always going to look off until it doesn't. Yeah. I mean, I appreciate Sheila and Kathy and Andrea, but we're missing Burl and we're missing Spence. Greg.
Although Greg usually drops in during his lunch.
Yeah, Carrie.
Yeah, Carrie.
So I feel like we're missing people. I know we're missing people. Alright. Luckily, you can always watch this on replay. Alright. So I'm just trying to keep vertical my stroke, even though I'm going in ovals. Flat, I'm trying to keep my hand moving as much as possible back and forth versus up and down. And right now, remember, it's always going to be a mess. But as I layer, it'll start coming together. And I'll probably go darker as I go up because the light is lighter hitting the ground down here. It's always hard to know what you're thinking. 5 years ago? Yeah, I started this. I drew this out 2017, so 4 years ago. 5 years. 3, 5. I can do math, I promise. What are you doing?
I'm looking at chat on my phone. I'm working.
Hey, John. John came.
Hey, John.
John's here. Remember, I can always darken it up. I don't know how much is it picking up on the screen because it is really light. See, on the back side of one of the needles, I can go closer to the pencil mark, and that'll allow it to thicken up without burning over the pencil. And slowly we keep layering. Down a little bit. Now remember, if I scratch out the needles, when I go to varnish, it's going to darken those up because it's exposed wood that you've scratched out. It always darkens up. That's why if you lose whiskers once you varnish, that's why. But we can lightly burn around them. Did I lose one?
John says it would burn Joe Burrow. I'm assuming that's somebody on the Bengals. And they lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was his fault they lost?
Yeah.
Or your fault the Rams won?
My fault they won? No, I support the Rams.
Exactly, but you didn't watch.
I didn't show up, so I helped them.
Exactly.
It wasn't my fault.
Or is it
the
his
Bengals
fault?
could say it was my fault that they won because I didn't show up to chase the Rams.
The Rams won, love.
We're talking about the same thing.
We're confused. We are confused.
You're confused.
Yes, you didn't show up, so they won.
Exactly.
So could it be you and John's fault?
Well, that's possible.
He burned the Bengal guy. So.
It is possible.
And you didn't watch. Alright. Let's get some of the pencil mark off so we can see what's going on. But I'm only going to remove it where I've burned. And see, this shows me that it's a little too blurry. So I need to tighten it up just a little bit if I can. See how it's showing up on screen. Touch down in a dark spot. And see how much I can keep this blurry while tightening up the lines for the up close needles.
John says that we'll do a Matthew Stanford. Is that Rams?
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm usually pretty versed on sports ball.
Okay, so right up against where I want that pine needle to be. Because if we look at it, the pine needles are not overly blurry. Come on. Come over here. Work with me.
What are you fighting with?
My cord. Because my stuff is right on the edge, so I moved it a little bit. So blur into the tree. I can always make more decisions on the background later. So I'm not going to stress about it.
Sorry, sports ball fans. I grew up in Alaska, and I really wasn't exposed to things like that. And then I went directly into the Army and straight to Germany. So I never gained a connection to sports ball.
I was raised watching the Cowboys. I can still watch a game and know exactly what's going on.
Oh, I know.
There's only a couple of new rules.
Yeah.
But I was working on my computer, if you notice. No buffering. Knock on wood.
Yeah, in foosball, they have to get the they have to get the ball down between the pickets, and
wrong foosball.
And
we can even do some lighter.
they get 3 times to do it, and they can also get a free throw, but they only use their feet. Wait. Only the feet for the free throw. Otherwise, they tackle.
So there are some lighter areas, and what I'm doing is putting some less dark, fuzzier ones in the background, so that it makes it more full feeling, but they're not overly standing out. And I can do that by burning in between where I've already burned, tighten it up, and it starts coming out. And you can actually use the grain of your wood for that too. If there's areas of the grain that you like more so than others and you're putting the pine needles in, you can use the grain to move around and give it some. Because if I see, you might see it a little bit. I can see it more so than you guys can. I've got a couple of these faint ones, but when I move out, you can't see them. But as a whole, they bring things together. I'm going to angle this a little bit. There we go. There we go. Touch down in a dark place. So I'm shaping these all. Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do back here. I probably should check and see how the spoon shader will do on this. I can also go back with my General White Charcoal pencil and put in some of my brighter ones so I know where those are.
Kathy says, looking great, Val.
Ah, thank you. Right now he's such a mess, but I'm okay with that. Meaning, I know he's gonna come out ahead. Now remember, where some of these pine needles are light, they're gonna push back and get darker and lose detail as they get closer to the limb because it's thicker up here, so we see less of it. We'll see more of the pine needles detail over here closer to the fur. So I just put some white so I know where I'm going with it. Taking a little camera there. Touch down in a dark place. Now I can start bringing things together. Let's see here. So we got this one kind of bending back. So we got light. Gets a little darker. See, based on the shade, come down for you guys. Based on the tone of these darker pine needles, I think my background's gonna have to go darker to make it work. Now this is a ponderosa pine, all the pine needles are, and they're pretty thick on the branch. They don't have like giant gaps. I need to remember that. And their bunches are close together. I'm just moving quickly, getting some different direction in. See, like this one I'm going to have coming ahead, so this one goes behind. Paying attention to how they overlap. And then we're going to switch over to, I think, the medium box up. Or is it the large? I'm trying to decide which one I want to go with. That's the medium, that's the large. You know what, let's do the large. Because I think I can get a larger area done quicker. And bump it up to 4.5. It's a thinner pen than what I was using. My eyes are blurry. And I'm still drinking my morning coffee because I was so busy trying to get things done. Alright, so let's go darker. Doesn't have to be all the areas. Make it look like there's some rocks that are blurry in the background because that is how the land is here. And Bearizona tends to replicate the environment that is outside the gates, especially for the bears. The bears. So going in between. Here on my camera. So next week, what are we going to do next week?
I don't know.
Maybe I'll switch to a different piece so that everybody doesn't get burned on this one.
Get burned?
Yeah.
Um,
See what I did there?
Are you doing any lives with the piece that you're doing for...
No.
Okay.
No. That one is an experimental piece that I need to work stuff out with. Even though it's for entering an art show here in town.
But it's a prominent art show.
Yeah, I haven't done night visions. You have.
Yeah. I thought you did.
Mm-hmm.
It was just me?
Mm-hmm.
Because this is...
I always did it Elemental.
Yeah, you do it Elemental. And, wait, there's another one.
We haven't done that one in a while.
It's Elemental. What was the one that was like STEM Sciences?
That.
What
But
was it?
you did that.
Okay.
Art shows are starting back up here in town.
Yeah, but the Night Visions, that's the one that that's the show that I always enter.
Yeah.
So.
But I'm doing it this year too.
Yep. Yeah, I gotta represent, and then also I'm hoping too because I'm hoping that we'll be able to catch Elaine there and Ellen and be able to talk to them while they're there.
Yeah.
Because I don't know whether palette is going to be going or not.
Sorry guys, there's something I want to tell you that I forgot. I got an email from Michael Fronte. The concert's rescheduled August 4th.
Oh, okay.
Woohoo!
August 4th.
Yeah, bought those tickets 2 years ago.
Is it going to be in the Pepsi Center?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool.
Yep. So what I'm doing is I'm pulling out this pine needle right here, and I'm off camera. Yeah, you have to watch this screen because it's what I'm doing right this second.
You mean telling you that you're off camera 30 seconds ago doesn't cut it?
Doesn't cut it.
Oh, hubcap.
Dun dun dun. So slowly they're coming alive. And it can be a pain to try to go around all these lines. But for me, I think I like the end result better. But it's definitely a personal choice as to whether or not you want to do it this way. Again, you could darken the whole area and then use a Dremel to pull them out. But I don't, for my art, I don't necessarily like having the gouges in the wood. But it is doable. You can do it that way.
Kathy, the shows are at the center. Well, one of the shows is at the Center of the Arts, and the other one is at a college up here. So.
The Night Visions one's for Coconino Center for the Arts.
Yeah.
Alright. Thin this out a little bit. We don't want a bunch of thick needles. But they don't all have to be tiny either. Yeah, I think this spoon shooter's been doing a better job. Now, I need to get the curves in there. That's why I'm trying to pay attention to that. And then we have needles that cross into the bear fur.
You know, it's already looking dimensional.
Yeah, it's starting to get there. We're starting to see this part of the pine needle start popping out.
Yeah.
What I need to do is kind of move down here where I've already put some darks in. So we can see how much darker this needs to go versus the background. So I'm going to touch down where it's dark already. Because see right here with what I'm doing with the ground, it tends to be the same tone as to what I was doing for the needle. So I'm going to have to either choose to darken up the needle or choose to darken up the background. in order for them to work together and not get lost. But as the artist, it's my choice, I think, on this. How I want them to be prominent with each other. Because I do want them to stand out, but it needs to be the needles more so. The background needs to fall back.
We have a 6-second delay.
Yeah, my computer. I didn't get to work on the bear last week because I was working on week 2 of World Pyrography Month and upgrading my computer, which I've never done before. So I had to learn how to do stuff.
But you're making it faster.
Yeah, everything loaded faster.
And we haven't had any issues. So. I saw that.
You have a habit of saying things, kind of like with the Rams. Saying things and jinxing. No jinx for us. No, I was pleasantly surprised with upgrading the memory and the hard drive. How much quicker it's gotten. Alright. So right up against the white. Remember, I can push things back. It's a lot easier if I start a little lighter. Then I have more control. If I started off really, really dark in this area, I'd have a harder time adjusting. So like right there, I just cut off the pine needle, but that's okay because it can be darker right here. It made it look like it's going under. But unlike on some level of fur, pine needles, rocks, gravel, things that you tend to have in backgrounds, those are more abstract, so you don't have to be as fussy with them. In fact, the less fussy you are for the specific background, the more your subject that you really have spent all that time with stands out. Again, these pine needles are at the same level as the bear, so I do need to spend that time. But the background behind it isn't. So I can push things around and get it the way I want. But I think, looking at it, I think the background's going to end up having to go a little darker because the pine needles are nothing's really, really dark on the pine needles.
No.
I need that darkness in the background to help move them forward.
And that's just going to be an artistic choice.
Yeah. It's totally, like right here, we know there's a tree that I added. So I'm going to slow down and put some dark of this tree in. Yeah, I think I'll use this pen for the tree. I can have little like hot spots where I've touched down or altered how I'm holding my tip. And that works as texture for the tree. Without, the only problem I'm going to have is looking at, I'm going to have a little problem getting into smaller areas, but then I can just switch to a smaller spoon shooter. See, look at that. We're starting. See, that's a needle. That's a needle. Just leaving room. So right now I'm at 4.5. We'll put another needle there. I don't have to go exactly off the reference. Because not everybody's going to sit there and pick out every single pine needle.
No, I mean...
As long as it looks right.
Yeah, as long... Because the background in this case really is a supporting feature. So as long as there's nothing that looks wrong about it,
Yep.
then people won't focus on it.
It all works. Yeah, I like this pin better for the tree trunk. Let's see, let's put some trunk in here. But we need these breaks of the tree, and I think that's why I did it. We really do, in order for things to feel... Where did I put the line for the tree? To make the pine needles feel better. I was worried about the pine needles. Again, it's very similar to whiskers. I know it's a pain to work the fur around whiskers, but you will tend to have a better outcome if you try to go around it very carefully without harsh lines, like outlining. I'm not trying to outline anything, I'm just grouping them together. But if you want to do your whiskers or even this tree a different way, totally fine. Not a big deal. So I'm using the edge, trying to get into the small areas. In fact, I can't even see some of the graphite.
Yeah.
But I'm not worried about it.
You just know where the needles are?
No, I'm making it up as I go.
Oh.
I don't think it really is... I can end up stressing about a lot of things, but this I don't think needs the stress.
Oh, okay.
So I'm just kind of fleshing them out as I'm going. There's some areas that maybe I wanted a little bit more correct as they're coming out, but right here where they're all bunched up and we see the tree coming in through it, you just don't need it, I don't think. And I've done grass like this before. Whew. I'd say it's really just a personal choice. But look how much they're starting to pop out. I could do this with a spoon or with a ball tip. That would be possible. But I'm liking this pen for this.
Okay.
See, they start popping out, so let's back it up a little bit. Plus, my hand needs a break for a second.
Okay. Well, we're coming up on the hour.
Are we? See how much they're starting to pop out? I think I need to pop up here real quick. And just put a few up here so we can really see.
Yeah.
And then next week, let's talk about next week. What else do I have unburned? My grandma's unburned still. He's not finished. Hummingbird Queen I haven't touched in a long time. What else? We can always come back to the bear, just... People over time stop watching.
Yes.
Oh, we've got the horse, too. Forgot about it. The horse.
Oh, Although a horse might be cool. I don't know. What's Chet think? Horse, grandma, bear.
Well, grandma.
Queen.
They may not know Humming Queen. She's behind me. Hummingbird Queen. She's on the counter.
Oh. Do you want me to get it?
Sure.
Okay.
In fact, I got to do basically the same thing with her
Oh, I see.
for the leaves at the top.
That's not a cradle board.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're actually quite a ways along with this.
Yeah, I've picked her up and worked on her a little bit here and there. I'm going to back this up. But for Hummingbird Queen, I still need to put in the leaves at the top, which will be actually basically like what I'm doing here. And I do need, I think, looks like I have a little bit of water. I've got to put in, there's some things I need to adjust.
You know, that's actually really lovely.
You sound surprised.
Well, the last time I saw it, it was in an ugly stage, love.
Well, I got some more. See, if you look here, I went really light with the... I think I need to darken them a little bit, but that's fine. With this one, I'd have to go back and look to see live-wise how long ago I started this one. I think this... Was this 2017 also?
Probably. It's been a while.
But I think I need to detail...
You start marking them on the back.
I do. I need to detail the mushrooms out a little bit more. Sheila's saying this one.
Yeah.
And I need to, like...
Kathy agrees.
Detail the mushrooms a little bit more. I kind of feel like she was overly dark when I did her. So I feel like I need to darken the area around her to help pop her out more.
Okay.
But with the moss, I did the same thing as I've been doing here, and that was burning around and leaving a lighter area.
Gotcha. Yeah, I really like that mushroom. Well, I mean, there's a lot.
I'm happy how the fog came out on the water.
The moss looks really good. The water looks really good, too. It's really pretty.
I like the fog down here. I still need to work
Wait,
on the water
okay.
up here.
I was going to ask, are you sure it's not done? But I see
No,
there's some pieces that still have graphite on it.
Yeah, right here. I was trying to erase here, but it wasn't coming off. I'll have to wipe it off.
Well, we got
The plants up here, and it's just really like more adjusting.
Sheila and Kathy, they both say that one. I would certainly like to see that one worked on. I'd like to see that one finished.
And,
I'd like to see them all finished.
well, I do too. I do too. That's why I'm trying not to start a new one. I've got World Pyrography Month, and was starting a new one, but
You got the art show.
that's different. I've got the art show,
Visions.
Night Visions, yeah, that I want to enter. Let's quickly show them World Pyrography Month. This week is week 3.
Here you go. Oh, you want to show them in detail.
I want to show them in detail.
Ah, okay.
So we've got week 2 here, or week 1 here, sorry. Our Fairy and Ferret, which was Folklore. Or is it Fork Tales? Can't remember.
Folktales, I think.
Folk Tales. And Impish. And then I finished last week the Anteater and the Drum, which is for solitude, because anteaters like to be by themselves unless they're mating. And for the drum, it was rhythmic. This week, we got the Red Panda and the ukulele, and that is sensitive and creativity. Sensitivity or sensitivity? I have to pull it up on my phone. And creativity. And then the last week, we have the kitty cat and the wine bottles, which is... I forgot. Let me pull it up just real quick. I've just got so much going on in my brain.
Mm-hmm. You always have a full brain.
I do.
You gotta be more like me.
Okay, so this is the red panda sensitive, the ukulele is creative, and then the kitty cat is secretive because we know how kitty cats are, and the wine bottles are merriment. And then I might put, like on this side, I haven't decided, one like a gradient blurry background that comes down just to I haven't decided yet.
Hmm.
Haven't decided yet. So that is where I am on that. Things need to go darker, but I'm not stressing about it. I'm trying to think. I've done a person before. The flower was added because she was holding a pitchfork, but I took that out and put flower. I've done a kitty cat, but not a kid. This particular kitty cat is a furless kitty cat. I've never done one of those before. I did the wine glass, but not the wine bottles.
Mr. Bigglesworth.
Yeah, I've never done a red panda. I've never done a ukulele. Never done a ferret. So I was trying to grab things that I'd never burned before.
Greg, we are still on for a few more minutes.
Yeah, where is Greg? I don't see his comment.
Really? You should in a second. There he is. That's weird. I did it on a tablet first.
Yeah. Hi, Greg. So this week I will just be focusing on this. And that's one of the things awesome about World Pyrography Month is you're only working on 2 prompts that are dependent on the size you do. The fairy is my main, and these are all our supporting actors. I think when I'm done with this, it's going to be named... Because the photo I found of the red panda, it looks quite offended and shocked and surprised, so that's why I went with that photo. So it's like he's walking up and seeing the anteater already getting to the fairy before he could, and the cat's like, I just don't want to deal with any of this. So that's the story. And the ferret's like, ooh, what's this? What's this? It's not focusing on anybody going on. So we got the anteater trying to love on the fairy, and the panda is quite taken aback and has having a WTF moment.
Yeah.
And the cat just don't want nothing to do with any of them. That's why the cat's drinking.
Yeah, because he's a cat.
It's because he's a cat. He got a secret that he knows about the anteater, and he also knows about the red panda. And so cat here, he's drinking because it's trying to keep the drama to itself and not let anything on. So that's the short story thought process behind this one.
And what's it going to be called?
I had it, and I hate when this happens. I had it yesterday, and I didn't write it down.
Welcome to Phoenix.
What? Don't mess me up. Don't mess me up. So I'll get the name back. But that's an 8x12, so I'm having fun with it. Do we have any questions?
No, I don't see any, but...
About pine needles.
Kathy, thank you very much. Thank you. Yes.
Yes, don't forget to hit
Thumbs
the
ups
like.
are nice.
Yes, they help, especially since we do have our creeper. I went and checked because we talked about it last week. Yeah, they're still around.
Yeah.
But see, now they don't get to see the glory of their thumb down, so they must really not like it.
Tough.
But I bet you they still watch and learn. They just don't like me. But they want the info, so that's probably what this is about.
You just
Alright.
can't make some people happy.
I'm not worried about making people happy. I'm worried about making myself happy, because if I'm happy, then I can share that happiness with others.
And if you're happy, I'm happy.
No. No. No.
Okay, that's true. Sometimes
You got your moments.
Sometimes I'm not happy.
I have to trick you into being happy.
That's true.
Alright. You know it's time. It's time to say this. I had to
I
stop
didn't get
that
to say
bit.
this last time because
You
I was
didn't.
gone.
You didn't.
I
So
had
you know what to say
emergency.
with me.
Yep.
Say it. You're awesome. You can do this. Why? Because you're a pyro artist.
Yes. that is
Don't forget
correct.
to hit subscribe if you're new and you got all the way to the end. Thank you. Happy burning, guys. Bye.
What you want?
I don't know.